We are a mutt population. But yeah, my dad's like so ready. My mom is not ready. My mom is, she is the kind, she grieves very hard, and I worry for her because,
Ooh, yeah.
um, yeah, my grandmother passed away a year and a half ago, and my mom still is not over that.
Well,
And
yeah.
and it's harder for her than for me. I've been removed from my grandmother since we came to live over here, and because my grandmother had over 100 grandchildren, there
Holy
was,
crap.
yeah, let me tell you, my uncle sowed their oats. So
How many kids
anyway,
did she have?
she had nine. She had nine children.
Jeez.
She had
Oh,
actually she
I'd be
had
dead.
technically she she had, hold on, she had 12. Two were
Holy
stillborn, and
smokes.
one died when she was 4 in a car accident.
Oh,
So
God.
yeah. So but yeah, she had 9 kids go
Holy
to
shit.
adulthood. So yeah. So my mom has had a really tough time dealing with her mom dying, and my grandmother was 92 when she passed away. And for mom, it has been extremely difficult. And
Was your mom like one of the oldest?
she was number 4.
How
She
old
was
is your
number.
mom?
My grandmother married when she was 15.
Oh, okay. Because I'm doing the math and I'm like, wait, what? But yeah, no, that makes sense.
No, my grandmother married when she was 15.
Oh
Yeah, we're hillbilly stock, honey.
no, it's back in the old 100 years ago. You were like, oh, I'm probably not going to make 40. It wasn't creepy like it is now.
No, that's true. My and it's really weird because my grandmother, my father's mother, she died when she was 96, and she was the one of the 3 of her brother and sister and herself that did not make it to 100. Her sister made it to 104, and her brother made it to
Oh,
101.
oh my God, dude. Can I just tell you what a huge mess I'll be if I make it anywhere? I will be like the angry dementia lady being like, why don't you give me another vodka in the nursing home? Like, who are
Oh,
you?
oh my God.
Or being
I
like,
know
I remember you from World War II. And
I
somebody
know
be like, you weren't even
exactly
there.
I know exactly who you're gonna be like. We have a family friend. Her name is Sonia, and she is Spanish. She's not Puerto Rican. She's Spanish. Her husband was Puerto Rican, but she's Spanish. She's a lovely woman. She's my dad's age. She's 88. And
And
we
she's
went to
just a
visit her.
beautiful combination of like alcoholic dementia and awesome.
Girl, this woman has got it going on. Let me tell you, we went to visit her, and it was around coffee time, okay? So it was around 3 o'clock, and her helper, her caretaker, came out and asked if we
Coffee
all wanted
time is 3 o'clock?
in Puerto Rico.
Ugh,
Seriously,
I
come
guess
three
people
o'clock,
don't
we
like
have coffee.
sleeping.
No, it doesn't bother me. So
I
anyway,
think that's
so
a
she
genetic
came out.
thing.
Yeah, probably. She came out and she asked if we wanted coffee, and I said sure. And my dad said sure. My mom said sure. And Sonia turns to her and is like, "I'll have a little tea because it's 3 o'clock." And I'm like, "Oh, okay. Well, if we can have, I don't want you." I said, "I don't want you to, do coffee if you're making tea." And she says, "No,
So
no, no."
wait,
She gets
but tea
special.
is code, right?
Yes, it is. She
Yes,
gets
it is.
special tea. So she goes back with a tray with coffee and the coffee cups and the sugar and the milk and all that. And in there's a glass, like a tall glass, like a highball. And it's just
Yes.
completely full of water.
Water.
Okay. And she puts it next to Sonia. And Sonia takes it and sips a little and then puts it back. And I'm telling you, girl, this is an iced tea glass, okay? That big. And Dad asked her, "Where's your tea?" And Sonia just picks up the glass and says, "This is my tea. The T stands for tequila."
Oh my God. God love her. It's
It
like
was
in a
half a bottle.
it's
There was half
we
a bottle
up
of
here
tequila
we
in the
call
glass.
We call those tumblers. A big giant glass. I take those on the road when I mow the lawn with the rider mower. I'm like, I better fill myself up a tumbler. One of those big 30-ounce deals with ice and beverage and a noise canceling headset. Oh,
Yeah.
it's literally heaven. I look forward to mowing the lawn. I get really bummed out when I'm like, ow, it hasn't rained. I can't mow the lawn.
Oh man, it was just I was cracking up because as soon as she said tequila, and the way she said it, I was like,
Right?
oh my
You're like, oh,
God.
I love you.
I drove after the visit, I'm driving my parents back to their house, and I was like, Dad, does she drink that much a day? And he says,
She's had a lot of practice.
my dad said, oh, that was only her third drink. Only her third drink.
Hey, you know what? God bless her. I'll tell you, you build up a tolerance after a few decades. You'd be
Oh, she,
amazed. Like, people are like, I'm going to go get white girl drunk. I'm like, I can't do that, actually. I'm
no,
unable to do that.
I'm not sure what that is, so I'm
And
okay not
it's,
knowing.
it's like novice drinkers are like, oh my God, let's have another shot. That's another thing I don't do. I'm like, shots? Okay, that's for amateurs. I don't need to do shots unless it's Jägermeister at a funeral, because that's what Germans do.
Well, wait a
Uh,
minute. Just FYI, Jägermeister was not intended as a
it's a
liqueur for
laxative.
women. It's a digestive aid.
Yeah, it's a
That's what they
laxative,
use to
honey.
cut all the grease.
Yeah. Hey, you know what? Germans are very pragmatic. So they're like, I
Yes,
know
they are.
we're at a funeral, we're mourning, but also good digestion. I can't even really do a German accent, but they don't care. They're like, yes, it tastes like flat Pepsi and battery acid, but it'll help you poop tomorrow, help get rid of the sorrow today. I literally can't do a German accent. My grandmother was right off the boat from Germany, had the thickest German accent. I can't do a German accent to save my life. It always turns into like Russian. Russian came really easy, dude. I found out a few years ago that just like the Ancestry commercials, so not really so much with the lederhosen, but a lot more with the sitting in a shack in Siberia with the vodka and the fur hat. And I'm like, these explain so much. And I learned the Cyrillic alphabet. I can read Russian kind of, sort of, pretty well. I'm like, these makes total sense to me. I laugh
That's
my ass off at all the people like, oh, you're a Russian bot. Putin, blah, blah, blah. You don't even know. Go
they
ahead
don't
and
know.
keep ringing that bell.
Oh, that's epic.
See
That's
how that
epic.
works
That
out for
I think
you.
that's I think that's one of my favorite parts about Twitter is when everybody gets well, when people find me in a political thread or something like that, and they just accuse me of being a typical white person.
You're like,
I
I
love,
am from
love when
Puerto
it happens.
Rico.
I love when it happens. As a matter of
I'd
fact,
be
the other
like,
day,
are you assuming my race or
my
origin? Because I'm a person of color, blah, blah, blah.
oh yeah, I had one when I told them I said I am a person of color according to the left, I'm
Yes.
Hispanic. And then she comes back with like, well, not all Hispanics are people of color. And I'm
Oh,
like,
snap, girl. What?
explain. I gotta hear this explanation. And she's telling me that people, from Spain are not, people of color. I said,
You're
well, I'm
like,
not
girl, I'm not from
I'm not
Spain. How you
Spanish.
like me now?
Yeah, and I told her, but I'm not Spanish. I'm Hispanic. And she's like, there's literally no difference. And I'm like,
Oh my God.
wow, okay.
Girl, you are too stupid for me to like keep talking to. I'm gonna block you now for your own safety. All these people. There is a question that I have asked on some of the shows that I have stumbled into and they were stupid enough to answer the phone, haha, suckers, that I have asked on shows and I have asked to my friends and whatever. And if you want to see a lefty's head explode, ask them what is black? What is white? Is it DNA? Is it a hue? Is it a shade? Because not only is no one like able to answer that question, no one is willing to answer that question. Because once you answer that question, it opens up a huge can of worms.
Oh yeah,
And
it does.
we're either sailing right into uh not black enough, not white enough, too black, too white, bay, or we're sailing into spit in the vial and send it to ancestry.com and report back bay. Because seriously, all these people coming out these days like, oh, I'm sorry, I lied about being a person of color because I wanted a good job, or or like, oh, I'm Indian, I should be a professor. Oh no, I'm not. That is the question nobody wants to answer and nobody wants to talk about. And it's not a racist question. It's, holy crap, that's a huge bird. What's going on? Oh, I think it's a hawk. Anyway, but literally all of this virtue signaling bullshit and people of color, no one has ever defined it. And I just can't wait until maybe someone does define it. And it sounds eugenicist and whatever, but it's not. It's literally an honest question. If you're gonna hate me because you think I'm white, I'm like, here's a picture of my dad. My kids used to mistake OJ Simpson on TV for my dad because my dad is a dead ringer for OJ Simpson. He's pretty darn chocolatey and he's Italian. I mean, I haven't had him tested, but that's where everybody comes from on that side. And
Mm-hmm.
it's like, so how do we know? And I don't know. I feel like I'm gonna push that little by little until, well, I get banned from everywhere or something. But I don't know why we can't have that conversation. What is a person of color? Because
I
if
think the
it's a
reason.
shade, then okay, cool, we'll work off that. And then we have the tooth whitening scale, where if you're not this brown, or you're not, or you're too brown or whatever, then fine. But if that's racist and we can't use it, then I guess we're gonna have to go with DNA testing. And a lot of motherfuckers are gonna find out that they're fucking like Irish and
Oh,
Russian, and
that
and they
actually
and they
happened.
thought they were African. I'm like, no, baby, no.
No, that actually happened to Jessica Alba. For the longest time, she thought that she
Right?
was Hispanic and she had their DNA done, and she was not.
And she's like Polynesian or something, right?
Yeah, something. And I was like, you you should talk to your parents more often. I mean, they would know. And
And
I was
everybody should want to do that just because it's super fun. Can like I
I
was
see the
so
attraction, but I
psyched.
also see how it can be not a good thing. I would not want my DNA to be.
No, I mean you use a fake name, obviously. Or you get your older relatives tested because they're not thinking, oh my God, crap, I have another 50 years.
Oh,
The government,
girl,
you just get them tested and use a fake name.
I had relatives. This cracked me up. And my aunt and uncle got themselves tested with the ancestry.com or whatever it was,
Mm-hmm.
whatever the DNA thing
Yeah.
that they picked, and then they
Yeah. I
told their
mean,
kids to do it,
oh,
and I'm
oh
like,
shit.
wait.
Somebody was the milkman's kid, right?
So my cousin, we're in a group on social media, on one of the social media sites, and my cousin just piped up and said, "What are you trying to tell us?"
You know what's super freaky, and I'm sure this has happened to people? Siblings may or may like siblings don't, or actually any given kid does not necessarily have 50% DNA from one